Hello and welcome to Childcare Confidential. I am Jessica Hampton and this is the lovely Katy Denk. Hello, hello. We are so excited you are here with us. We have been taking a deep dive into Indiana's Child Care Development Fund issues. And boy, oh boy, there are a lot of issues. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that today and dive in a little bit deeper. So far, these cuts are really reaching the providers, and they're starting to get more and more data in on what this is going to look like behind the statistics. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today and what this means for all of the families out there that depend on these finances to help provide for their childcare. Can they still afford to work? That's a big question right now. Let's start with the landscape. Indiana has been facing this childcare shortage, as I'm sure many, many other states have. And currently, we have about 25,149 children who are currently on the wait list for Childcare Development Fund in Indiana. That means these families have already went through the approval process. And they are already approved for this funding. They have to be approved before they can get on the wait list. And so they're already approved for this funding. However, they're just sitting 25,149. What do you think about that?
That's absolutely insane, but it is 100% accurate. According to the FSSA, it's now saying that there's about 1,000 providers alone that have decided to close the doors just because of this funding cut, because there's just no way to make ends meet.
There's not. So it's discouraging to say the least. And we're seeing a lot of our friends in the field that are owners in the field that are having to make those tough choices. There's choices down to, what do you do as a provider? Do you take the pay cut and cut your staff, because that money has to come from somewhere?
But is it really fair to do that to providers, to give them that, like, you have to make a choice? It's either one way or the other. There is no bending.
No, there's not. And I think it comes back to, well, you'll know, Katy, I am huge on integrity.
No.
So that is a big deal to me. And I think that comes back to our integrity. Are we going to take less pay and tell people they can't have jobs to help provide for these children? Or are we causing the problem if we do that to get even worse? The providers I know specifically are saying, we're not taking pay cuts. We're not bending. We need to charge this amount to be able to provide for our families and the children in our current care. And we cannot pass the buck to them and ask parents to now pay for them. That's not fair either. So what do we do?
Do you know what the craziest part is, Jess? You and I go back and forth. We have this conversation, I feel like almost on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. It's not providing care. It's providing quality care. It's about whether or not we're going to shortchange ourselves and unfortunately lower the quality of care in the schools that are already trying to do everything in their power to make it successful, education-based, fulfilling, all of the things that these parents are wanting and needing.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep. That's where it gets really, really gray.
Exactly. And that's kind of a cue out there for all those people that go, oh, early childhood. For those of us out there that know what early childhood really is about, and we've studied it, and this is our passion and our field, and we care about it, we know what this means. This means that the providers are going to have to cut something, and that can be quality. I feel like Indiana's already done that with allowing in-home providers not to be licensed. You can watch up to 7 children, I believe it is.
Yes,
in Indiana.
You'd be correct now.
In your home without even having an in-home childcare license. Like what?
What? You don't think that's a good idea?
No. Beyond the, the everyday things that we think about that could happen, I'm worried for these young in-home providers that are opening up and saying, I'll watch your children. Come on over. I don't have experience in that, and I don't know the business side of that, but come on over. I fear for them that they don't know about the insurance they need. I'm sorry, but parents, I love y'all, but something goes wrong with your kid. We all know you're coming at somebody. We've all been there. We're all parents. We've been there.
In fairness, we're moms ourselves. Like, we get it. We want to 100% have your back, but I feel like that's why we go about it the right way. We have the insurance, we have the liability, we have all of the direction, and our teachers are very capable and trained to ensure that if something crazy does happen, because I'm not saying it doesn't, I mean, it's childcare. You just never know. There's not a day that's the same every single day.
There is not. That's part of why I love this field so much. It keeps me going. But exactly, there's nobody now protecting these new young, I'm seeing 19, 20-year-olds saying, hey, and I'm going, these new young providers in their homes are just opening up. And I'm really honestly more fearful for them than anything else right now. And I think that says a lot to Indiana's quality, because Indiana knew these cuts were coming down the road. And so they prepared for it by already putting into law that you could open up your home and watch more children without being licensed. And a lot of in-home providers were saying, well, forget this. Let's not be licensed anymore.
Which is so scary. Again, you go back to not having the box around what it should be, and that's where the quality starts slipping.
Yep, it is. It is. And that's discouraging as a provider in Indiana and somebody who has been in the field for a long time and seeing these changes. It's discouraging right now. And we're here and we're helping, parents as much as we can. However, we still have a lot of things to pay too, and it's not fair to just pass the buck on to the provider at all.
It's not. But when we really look into that, so I feel like too, Jess, I feel like some families, or even like you said, young providers or anybody else who may be listening in, when you start cutting something like the CCDF funding, stuff like that, most of those families are already between the 150 and 200 percentile of poverty. So when you cut the funding, these providers who choose to say, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to discount my staff because the state is trying to make us step into this light, which is 100% unacceptable. But by doing that, who are we hurting? We're hurting the families who need the care, who need the quality care so they can have peace of mind to go into the workforce. If you don't have early childhood educators, where are your kids going to go?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And recent survey I wanted to bring up that had been done since all of this kind of came out. And it is indicating that 30% of childcare providers right now in Indiana, because we just got this news not that long ago, are considering closing their facilities. Ouch.
That's kind of devastating.
It is. We already see childcare deserts all over Indiana. So it's discouraging. We're taking away the need. Well, we're not taking away the need. We're taking away what we provide to help fulfill the need. The need is definitely there. Let me get that straight. But I also thought that it was interesting. Another fun fact for you right now. According to the Indiana Chamber of Commerce, the economic impact, it's insane. The economic impact of inadequate childcare is estimated to reach $1.2 billion annually in lost productivity. Tell me we don't need childcare.
Quality childcare.
Correction. Obviously, we need childcare, but we also need quality childcare, especially that we know the research on how fast children's brains are developing.
But too, Jess, like for us, and our podcast obviously is very real, very raw. It's very much comes from a place of not only love and respect for the field that we're in, but it comes from love and respect for the other providers who we know are busting their rump to make it right the right way. Yeah. And this is so crazy to me because you've got all these big corporate buildings everywhere that have childcare, and that's great. And I'm sure they can hold lots of kids. You have providers like us, though, who, like Miss Jess, she's our wonderful founder of our organization here in Indiana. But she goes out of her way. I can't tell you how many parents tell me how excited they are because of the random little things that we do with our kiddos to make their day not only enjoyable and education-based, but it's fun. It's fun, and that's what childhood should be.
Absolutely.
But it's purposeful. And when you go to a corporate facility who may not feel those cuts as much as a private organization would, that's still unfortunate and it's unfair. And I do not care for it. Not a little bit.
I agree completely. That's it's discouraging because in the end, we're going to be left with maybe some corporate centers if we can't get this under control. And it is unfortunate. I have many of my team that has worked for me has worked in corporate schools, and there's a lot of times where I have to go back and say, hey guys, we're not corporate. This isn't how we function. This is different. This is coming from our heart and our passion, not just, the manual. So we can't do everything for everybody, but we can make sure that the passion and our values stay at the center of everything that we do. And so this podcast for us has kind of been more of a standing up for the little guy, standing up for the person that wants their voice to be heard, but maybe they don't want to say anything because there's repercussions from licensing or other government agencies. And we have finally said, you know what? We've had enough. We're going to start talking and saying things because it needs addressed. And we're worried about the new childcare director, the new childcare owner that comes in, and they don't have the background we do. I couldn't imagine how scary it can be in today and what we're dealing with. So that's why we're doing what we're doing. Let's see. So a lot of agencies around Indianapolis right now, and we are based out of Indianapolis, so you may hear a lot of things from Indianapolis, but we do want to talk about the whole United States and what's going on around the country. But there are a lot of advocacy groups happening right now. We've been kind of commenting out there on a couple of the ones that we are in. We will keep sharing advocacy, things that are happening. I know I have a friend in Indiana, Holly. She has been setting up things over and over and getting people out to interview with different news stations. So we will make sure to keep promoting her stuff because she is just back there just really cheering for all of us and saying hey, call this person. Hey, do this now. And so we want to keep spreading that. And parents, families, get involved. Speak what this means to you. Share your story on our form that we have. We'll make sure to have it in the comments all the time, but share your story and just let us know how you're feeling because we're capturing these stories right now. And we just want to walk through all of this with you guys.
I couldn't have said it better. I don't disagree with any ounce that you've said, Jess. The biggest piece of it is too, in the next 2 weeks, actually, I'm sure it's happening in other states too, but just again, in Indiana, I know in the next 2 weeks that enough small childcare providers have gotten together, creating kind of like a coalition where they're going to get some airtime to be able to actually express their grievances with all of this. Mm-hmm. And it's because of parents and people like you that do actually, stand up for the little guy. You might think that your voice is small, but when we all group together and band together, it's much bigger than you actually can imagine.
Absolutely. I know when I was first starting out, I was the yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'll do whatever you say. Yes, ma'am. And over the years with the changes and things that I've seen, it's maybe we should make it make sense. And that's kind of what we're asking Indiana to do right now. Make it make sense. Why was this what you chose to cut funding to? I understand having one pot of money, but why this? Why is this less important to you than prisons? Because they're getting more funding than early childhood is in Indiana.
Womp, womp. Ridiculous.
Right? We all understand there's one pot of money. However, in the end, we also want to feel appreciated, not thrown to the side by the person that's supposed to be leading us. And we want to make sure that children are taken care of in Indiana. And right now, in Indiana, we are failing. We can do better.
Without a doubt. It's mind-boggling. The amount of things and stories that Jess and I have heard, even prior to starting this podcast, about different occurrences that happened in a small school or even in a larger school, and the amount of scrutiny that you're put to, but yet we're going to lower the money that is actually going to be there to assist you to be quality. It's crazy. It's absolutely insanity, and it's not fair, and it's not right.
Completely agree. Completely agree. We will keep everything updated. Obviously, we'll keep putting things in our comments, keep sharing our stuff, keep following, keep liking. Right now, we're just kind of getting a few podcasts out there that are scraping the surface. We will have some guest speakers out. We've already got a few people lined up that are excited to talk about what's going on in Indiana. And we would also love to hear from other states. What is going on in your state? We'd love to have you on. We do not have to live by each other to have you on. So don't make that a hindrance. In fact, right now I'm in Florida and Katie's in Indiana. So we make it work. And we love it. And we just want to keep talking, keep people engaged with what's happening. We want to make a difference in Indiana and beyond, especially for early childhood and everything that we're doing. And boy, do we have some stories to tell. It's great. We're hearing some awesome things come through right now. So we appreciate you guys. Keep liking, keep following. Katie, anything else?
I think we're just super ready for all the things that are heading our way, and to kind of pull back the curtains on some of the things that some people have been so scared to speak about. We're not.
Yeah.
And we're ready.
Yeah, we're ready. We're there. I think it's time. So let's do it, Indiana. Let's make a difference and make sure our voices are heard all across the states, and just really start stepping up for what we know is right. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.